There it is, my little van. Missed it. Good to be back to this thing. My cozy little camper van. So here I am, back to my little home on wheels. Missed this thing when I picked it up last week. So I've just been back with the van for about 6-7 days now. And unfortunately, I have to park it again and fly off to Alaska to work my next seasonal job. People always ask me if I drive to Alaska for the job, and it's just really not feasible the time of the year. There's no roads going to where I work anyway, so I have to take a little small puddle jumper plane out of Anchorage and get to the job. So it's doing a little tidying up in here. When I do leave this thing, I do disconnect the solar panels. I try to run my battery, my lithium battery, down to about 55%. That's generally the recommended resting voltage if you're going to leave them inactive for a while. So I just make sure to bring it down to about 55%. Then I disconnect the solar panels, cover those up, and then, make sure obviously everything else is off, fridge is off. I open it up so it can stay aired out. But unfortunately, yeah, it's just this year I'm kind of doubling down on my seasonal work. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But yeah, setting this thing up to store is pretty simple. It's basically just about the battery setup. I just want to make sure, say it's not good to store them at 100% charge. It's just better for the chemical structure inside them, and it's not good to leave them totally discharged either. So most manufacturers recommend about 55% on lithium batteries. So yeah, unfortunately, it is that time to park this van one more time. Really wish I was just getting in it and getting back on the road to do more adventuring, traveling, and exploring, but that will resume shortly. It's going to be about a 45-day stint. A lot of you that have watched my videos in the past know I have worked in Alaska before. I've done quite a few seasons up there working on a salmon tender boat for a fishery. That boat had been retired a couple years ago. It was an old wooden scow that they were spending way too much money on repairing every season, so they finally decided to retire it, which meant I no longer had a position up there. So I was able to secure a position with a totally different fishery, totally different boat, pretty much doing the same thing in the same area, but it's just going to kind of pan out a little bit differently. So as usual, I'll be documenting it and sharing it with y'all that are interested in that type of thing. Should be a pretty neat ride from where the boat is stored up to where we actually will start working. I think it's about a 3-day boat ride, so it should be pretty scenic. So looking forward to that. Weather is looking good right now, but it looks like next week we've got a solid week of rain, which is kind of typical for this time of year up there. So yeah, we'll see how it all pans out. But a few different reasons why I'm kind of doubling down on seasonal work this year. I'm just trying to bank a little bit of extra money. I've got some things coming up that I need to take care of, some dental work that's going to be expensive. There's a few things I want to do on the van. So just, yeah, kind of trying to stack a little bit of extra money so I don't deplete my savings that I have saved up. So just a little insight on that and what's going on with that. Yeah, this van I'm still very, very happy with. There are a few little tweaks I'd like to do this summer. A lot of things didn't go totally as planned when I built this. A lot of you know that if you saw the videos, I did it in Quartzsite, Arizona, just at like a dispersed camping spot. So I was very limited on the tools I had and storage for lumber. I had to store a lot of the lumber outside, and it ended up warping a lot of the plywood that I had bought, and it just made it extremely challenging. I had to redo a bunch of things. In an ideal situation, I would have had somewhere where I had like a shop or garage where I could have stored the lumber in that. But overall, yeah, I was able to kind of overcome those difficulties. And yeah, a few things I probably would have done differently. I felt very rushed because I was on public land. You can only stay for a limited amount of time, and I didn't want to just keep moving around with all the supplies and lumber and that. So yeah, kind of rushed it and made a few mistakes, but that's just how it goes. So yeah, like I mentioned, one of the biggest issues I had was with the plywood warping. And there's some techniques out there you can use to try to flatten it out. You can wet one side of it on the concave side and put weight on it. And I tried to do a lot of that, but I had to redo all of these doors. The wood was so warped, and it kind of, even after, lacquering it or shellacking it, it seemed to almost just keep warping. But all these doors were completely bowed out. So I had like a big, almost 1.5-inch gap on each side, and it inhibited how the hinges worked. It wanted to flex the whole thing. And actually inside these cabinets, the shelves are actually a little bit warped, but I put them with the concave going, well, like this. And I figured with the weight of the stuff I put on them, it might flatten it out, but it does still have a little impact. Actually, you can see it here. Well, maybe not with the shadow from these paper towels, but there's a bigger gap in the center here than on the edges, and that's because that shelf is warped. And I'm attaching my hinges for the doors to that, so when you go to bring them out, it actually causes a little bit of flex, and they kind of don't want to set out as easy as they should because of that flex in there. So that was one of the issues. And then for my headboards and footboards on the bed, same thing, they were wanting to warp in. So actually when I left Quartzsite and wrapped up the build there, I ended up in Pahrump, Nevada, where I have a storage unit, and I just, like, in one day's time, I just went crazy and like, I gotta fix this. It's driving me crazy with all this warp stuff. So I was able to buy a piece of plywood in the same day, get it cut and fit and shellacked so it didn't warp on me, and replace these doors and head and footboard here on each end of the bed. And then I was able to put paneling up. I removed the factory headliner, which was just kind of a plastic with like a velour type material glued to it, and I just wanted to kind of have a uniform look with the wood paneling going all the way up. So another thing I felt I would have done differently if I wasn't so rushed is the placement of this side window by the bed here. I really wish I would have brought it back a little bit. I kind of tried to measure it all out. Of course, I didn't have all of this in yet and was just kind of visualizing. And, you know, it's working, but I really wished it was just back a little bit further, kind of more centered in this area here. But it is what it is. I've already cut the hole, so I'll just deal with it. But oftentimes, you know, when I'm laying here in bed, my head is right next to the window. Of course, I usually have the shade up. But, you know, when I'm off dispersed camping, I'll leave that window open through the night if it's warm. And, yeah, it's working out. But again, I kind of just wished it was back a little bit. I almost kind of felt like I knew I made a mistake as soon as I cut the hole. And I was like, well, there's just no turning back. I think I even said that in the video when I showed me installing the window. I said, yep, no turning back now. And of course, still really happy with the swivel seat I put in. That changes the whole setup here. And I do have a little table that I can attach to this arm here. So I've got a swing around table in front of me there. And yeah, that's still working out very, very well. So overall, yeah, just kind of after being away from this van for a little bit, just reflecting on how, you know, well, the little design I came up with is working out and has been working out for me. So really the fridge is what takes up the most amount of space, but I tried to put it in a place to where it will not fit between the two front seats, the driver and passenger seat. So it ended up back here, and it kind of serves dual purpose. It is like a tabletop surface. You know, got to watch out using it to store too much stuff while you're cooking, because then you need to get in there and then you have to just move everything. But same deal, this door folds down. A lot of you have seen this, and it sits right level. I planned that all out. I measured the top of the fridge so this would sit flat, and I could use this as a surface as well. But it's working out. I don't think I've talked about my fridge much. This is probably one of the most expensive purchases for the van. I went with the Engel. This is the combo fridge, they call it. It has the freezer section in it. They're quite expensive, but Engel is known for just the reliability and long lasting. And a lot of it had to do with the form factor too. These are kind of short for their capacity. It's just they're taller than a lot of other fridges, and I've been really happy with it. I feel like they're on a little bit on the noisy side. The compressor is a different type of compressor than most fridges, and I feel like they're a little louder than the standard compressor, but very reliable. So yeah, I've been happy with that, other than it being a little loud. And you know, we're pretty close quarters here from where I sleep. So yeah, other than that, it's been working out really good. So I'm gonna miss it again. I've only been with the van for about a week now, and I have to depart again. But I was able to get out a few times. I went down to the beach and did a little just kind of day camping in it. And yeah, just got reacquainted with it and realized how much I enjoy being in this van and traveling around in it. So looking forward to my travels when I get done with this next seasonal job. So yeah, I just wanted to give a little update on kind of what's going on and how this spring going into summer is panning out for me with these seasonal jobs I have lined up, and what's to come here when I get back to the van. When I do return from Alaska, I do plan on getting right back into the van and hitting the road. I want to get back to kind of the area I was in Utah before I had to come down and park the van for going up and working on the farm. continue on through Utah, explore a lot of that state as I move into Idaho and then Wyoming and then up into Montana. I was in Montana last summer and really enjoyed it, but ended up going to Vancouver Island in Canada and kind of felt like there was more I could have explored in Montana as usual. I mean, you just scratch the surface in these kind of travels. So it'd be good to get back to that region, and then by the end of September going into October I'll need to zip over to North Dakota to work for a few more weeks, and then yeah, look at what I want to do for the winter months. So yeah, I just wanted to do a little update video to let you all know what I'm up to and what's to come here for the videos. So when I do get to Alaska and get settled in the boat, I'm going to continue to post videos. It sounds like we have Starlink on board, so I'll have internet connection. And yeah, just be kind of showing the day-to-day life of what it's like to live and work on a boat in Alaska. And I think the first part of the job is supposed to be nice. We take a boat ride from where the boat is stored up to where we actually work. Supposed to be very scenic. So yeah, I'm going to bring my drone and see if we can get some good shots and just bring you all along for the adventure as usual. So anyway, hope you're all doing well out there, and we'll see you very soon in the next video. Take care. Peace.